Welcome to the Footcast. We often think of ourselves as the only humans, the sole inheritors of the planet. But for hundreds of thousands of years, we shared this Earth with other human species. The most famous of these are the Neanderthals. They were not our primitive, brutish cousins, but a sophisticated, resilient human race that thrived for over 300,000 years. So, what happened? Why did they vanish while our ancestors, Homo sapiens, survived? The answer is not a simple story of conflict, but a complex tapestry of biology, climate, and a little bit of bad luck. Before we uncover the mystery of our lost cousins, if you're fascinated by the untold stories of human history, please help us on our journey by subscribing to the channel. Our goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you brings us closer to sharing more of these incredible stories with the world. First, let's dismantle the myth. Neanderthals were not stooped, grunting cavemen. They were a highly adapted human species. They had a larger average brain size than we do. They were physically robust, with a stocky, muscular build that was perfectly engineered for the cold climates of Ice Age Europe and Asia. They were master toolmakers, creating sophisticated stone implements known as Mousterian tools. They were apex predators, hunting massive animals like woolly mammoths and giant deer. There is compelling evidence they ritualistically buried their dead, a sign of complex thought and perhaps even spirituality. They were, by every measure, a successful and intelligent human species. For most of their history, Neanderthals lived and evolved in Eurasia, while our Homo sapiens ancestors were still confined to Africa. Then, around 60,000 years ago, sapiens began their great migration out of Africa. When they entered the Middle East and then Europe, the two human species finally met. This was a world-changing encounter. For thousands of years, they coexisted. They weren't living in completely separate worlds. They shared landscapes, resources, and, as our own DNA tells us, they sometimes shared intimacy and families. We know this because virtually all modern non-Africans carry a small percentage, 1 to 2%, of Neanderthal DNA. So, if they were so capable and even interbred with us, why did they disappear around 40,000 years ago? It wasn't a single cause, but a perfect storm of pressures. First, climate change. The period of their extinction was one of extreme and rapid climate fluctuations. The environment shifted violently between cold and warm periods. Neanderthals were highly specialized for a cold, stable environment. Their large bodies required a lot of calories, and their hunting strategies were tailored to specific prey. When the climate destabilized, the ecosystems they relied on began to collapse. Second, competition with Homo sapiens. This was likely a crucial factor. While not necessarily a war of extermination, it was likely a competition for resources. Homo sapiens may have had several advantages. Our social networks might have been larger and more flexible, allowing for trade and cooperation across wider areas. Some archaeologists suggest we had more advanced projectile weapons, like spear throwers, allowing us to hunt more efficiently and with less risk. We may have simply been better at exploiting a wider range of resources, including plants and fish, making us more resilient when large game was scarce. The competition may have also come down to subtle cognitive and social differences. While Neanderthals were intelligent, the sapiens' brain, though slightly smaller on average, might have been wired differently. Evidence for symbolic and artistic behavior is far more prolific and complex in Homo sapiens. We find cave paintings, intricate carvings, and personal adornments like beads across the world from this period. This represents a capacity for symbolic thought, language, and cultural innovation that may have been more advanced in sapiens. This cognitive revolution would have allowed for more complex language, faster technological innovation, and the creation of larger, more cohesive social groups. In a world under stress, the ability to adapt your culture quickly, to invent new solutions, and to maintain strong and extensive social bonds could have been the decisive edge that allowed sapiens to survive the hard times that wiped out their Neanderthal cousins. But to say the Neanderthals went entirely extinct is not entirely accurate. They live on in us. That 1 to 2% of Neanderthal DNA in non-African populations is not just junk, it has functional significance. These ancient genes have been linked to aspects of our modern biology. Some provided early Homo sapiens with advantages as they moved into new environments, such as genes related to skin and hair color that helped adapt to lower sunlight levels in Europe, and genes that strengthened the immune system to fight off new pathogens. Their extinction was not an absolute disappearance. It was an absorption and a replacement. They were a separate branch of the human family tree that, through a combination of bad luck, climatic chaos, and competition with a uniquely adaptable cousin, could no longer sustain its own distinct population. The story of the Neanderthals is a profound and humbling one. It teaches us that intelligence and strength are not guarantees of survival. They were specialized, and in a world that suddenly demanded generalization, they faltered. We, Homo sapiens, were the generalists, the adaptable ones, capable of innovating and cooperating in ways that allowed us to weather the storm that wiped out our Neanderthal cousins. Their disappearance holds a mirror to our own species. It reminds us that our own dominance on this planet was not preordained. It was the result of a specific set of circumstances and traits that allowed us to survive where another human race could not. They were the other humans, and in their story we can see a reflection of our own fragility. Thank you for joining us on the Footcast for this journey into the fate of our closest relatives. If you were captivated by the story of the Neanderthals, please support the channel by liking this video and subscribing for more deep dives into the lost chapters of human history. What other lost human species should we explore next? The Denisovans? Homo floresiensis? The hobbits? Let us know in the comments below. Share this video with someone who loves to explore the depths of our past. Until next time, keep exploring.